Now we're going to work with finding square roots and cube roots. The square root of a positive number p is if x is x squared equals p. So let's just start here. If I have 2 squared, remember that's the same as 2 times 2. There's 2 2's being multiplied. If I have 2 to the 4th power, I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Remember this? There are 4 2's being multiplied. So when I'm asking for the square root, so I know that this is 4. So if I have the square root of 4, I know that 2 times 2 equals 4. So that's going to be 2. The square root of 36 is 6 because negative 6 and positive 6, if you multiply them, you get 36. This here is super important that you have a positive and a negative. So if I have a negative 2 squared, that's the same thing as negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. So you see how both of these equal a positive 4? So I had a positive 2 and I had a negative 2. So when we write that, the square root of 4 can be a positive 2 and it can also be a negative 2. This symbol here means both. You can write it like that, or 2 and negative 2. Okay? This is also what we call the principal square root, but we usually just call it the square root. A number that is a perfect square has square roots that are integers. The number 81 is a perfect square because the square roots are 9 and negative 9. The cube root of a positive number, there is one cube root for every positive number. For example, the cube root of 8 is 2 because 8 to the 3rd power is 8. So if I take 2 times 2 times 2, I get positive 8. If I do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, I get a negative 8. So when I'm looking for a cube root, a lot of times it looks like this. The cube root of 8 is only a positive 2. Okay? All right, so let's practice a couple. The number that is a perfect cube has a cube root that is an integer. The number 125 is a perfect cube because its cube root is 5. 5 is an integer. Something else we're going to learn is how to do square roots and cube roots of fractions, and we'll come across that here in a few minutes. So I have solved for each equation for x. X squared is 121. So to find out what x is, I need to square root 121. So I need to square root 121. What number times itself gives me 121? Well, I know that 11 times 11 gives me 121. Because this is positive, that means that this could be a positive number. It can also be a negative number. So positive or a negative 11 is a solution to this. This one here is a fraction form. And so when we're saying we want to find the square root of the fraction, what we're talking about is I want to know what the square root of the numerator and what the square root of the denominator is. So the square root of 16, well, I know that 4 and negative 4 are square roots. And I need to know what the square root of 169, and I happen to know that that's 13. And this can be a positive or a negative combination. So the solutions are positive 4/13 and negative 4/13. So here I have 729 equals x cubed. So what I need to know is what number times itself 3 times gives us 729. I know that if I take 9 times 9 times 9, I'm going to get 729. So the cube root of 729 is 9. Negative 9 is not a solution because when I multiply this, I would get a positive answer. If I multiplied negative, I would have a negative answer. This next one I have is the cube root, or x cubed equals 8 over 125. So I want to find the cube root of 8 over 125. That gives me the cube root of 8 over the cube root of 125. Well, I know that 8 cubed, or 8, the cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of 125 is 5. And because they're both positive, I know that this is a positive 2/5. Okay, if you have any questions, please come see me and we'll talk about it. Until that point, I want you to practice on the next couple of slides finding the square root and the cube root.